Yeah, we'll start again. We'll try, the problem doesn't persist again.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Sorry for the technical glitch. Aggregar welcomes you to the third session on the weekend webinar series. Today will be hearing from Dr. Radhika Meenakshi Madam on rural entrepreneurship and current status and way forward. So before going ahead, I just want to give some webinar instructions to everyone. By default, you have joined the session in audio only mode. If you have any question, post it in the Q&A section. It will be read out and answered during the Q&A session post presentation. In case of any help required, please use the raise hand option on the screen. Since we are using a virtual platform, you may likely to experience a time lag. In case you get logged out of the webinar due to any technical issue, you should immediately rejoin using the same webinar link. Before going ahead, I would just like to give a brief about Aggregar. Aggregar is a social enterprise which is registered in 2019 with the main objective of rural livelihoods promotion through entrepreneurship or employment generation, specifically in agriculture and allied sectors. The main aim of this entity is to reduce the rural migration to urban areas in search of employment. Since in last 2 years there is a quite increase in percentage of unemployment rate in youth. So our target would be youth and SHG women, farmers, and FPOs. The problem which we will be addressing through Aggregar is the unemployment and also entrepreneurship, which is our specialty would be it's like the skill training through which we would like to go ahead. It's a social enterprise which is with the mission of being a one-stop platform for promoting rural livelihoods and thereby increase the rural economy. We go ahead with a vision to reach out to 1 lakh rural livelihoods in decades journey. We usually follow three approaches, which I'll explain you in a minute. So the first approach is AWAKE, which is awareness workshops on agri knowledge towards rural entrepreneurship or employment. This webinar series is part of it, where we try to give in awareness on the available opportunities to the aspiring entrepreneurs or professionals. We also provide mentoring and we lead to rural livelihoods. The second approach is SCOPE, which is like strategies for creating opportunities for professionals towards entrepreneurship or employment. Here we give scope for the professionals. It's like agri professionals, either graduates or diploma candidates, to do some research and development in the farms where we will be doing the production activities. And also we provide some consulting opportunities to any professional person. And we also act as a knowledge hub. The third approach is core. It's the strength of Aggregar, I should say. It's the creating opportunities for rural entrepreneurship and employment. Here we give training, skill development training, and also entrepreneurship development training with the practical knowledge, and we incubate the incubatees along with linking them with the both backward and forward linkages. And not only giving the trainings, we also help them to cater until they establish their businesses, and also give handholding support. With this, I just want to give a small overview where we want to, which I explained all through. It's like we want to target the rural population, thereby generating rural livelihoods, either through entrepreneurship development programs or employment through skill development programs. There is quite a lot of jobless people in India. So our target is like 18.6 million jobless people, and also even few are employed but they are vulnerable to displacement. So our approach is like EDP integrated with end-to-end support services, including the on-job hands-on training, which will be the USP of our entity. Uh, Now I welcome Dr. Radhika Meenakshi ma'am on behalf of Aggregar. We are happy to announce that ma'am is our mentor at Aggregar, and she's also founder of Wisol Consulting Services. Today she'll be taking ahead on rural entrepreneurship, the current status and way forward. Before going ahead, I would like to brief about Madam, who is holding a PhD degree, doctorate degree with over 20 years of academic experience in teaching finance and entrepreneurship. So her core specialization is in entrepreneurship development, which will add surely value to Aggregar incubation program. Since 2011, she is actively involved in the industry circles and academic campuses, promoting entrepreneurship and incubation, mentoring startups, and providing consultancy for existing MSMEs through her management services firm, Visol Consulting Services. She is currently engaged as chairperson of BYST Hyderabad chapter from 2019 to 20. Her enterprise focuses on training entrepreneurs of startups and high growth ventures, uh, training mentors, faculties, and also potential campus entrepreneurs or students. She has to her credit of training more than 20,000 potential and existing entrepreneurs, both in domestic and international arena. She consults for educational institutes for their entrepreneurial activities, study student ventures, incubation, and IPR activities. She is also an accredited trained mentor of CIA, BYST, UK Guild of Skills 2011, and also for London Business School, Goldman Sachs, NEN 2009. She is a registered mentor and trainer with many reputed institutions like Vadvani Foundation, Deshpande Foundation, Indian Army Rehabilitation Depot, EMA Wing, CIA, BYST, and incubators like J-Hub, IIT Hyderabad, CIE, Manage Hub, Alip, AIC VHub, Sandbox, Kakatiya Incubator, NutriHub, IMMR, etc. So it will be our pleasure to have our name also in future. So she has been involved in Government Startup India Telangana Yatra for 12 districts, PM Yuva programs, Arkaviya Raftar, Telangana Skills and Innovation Center. She has been awarded with national level of Champion Internship Educator 2015, Special Jury Award by Ministry of Skills and Entrepreneurship, GOI, EDII, British Council and Vadvani Foundation. It's really a pleasure, ma'am, to have you as a mentor, and we would like request you to go ahead with your presentation. Ma'am, you can take ahead.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi. Very good afternoon to all of you, and it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. And it's always a pleasure to talk to potential entrepreneurs, especially in the primary entrepreneurship. The primary entrepreneur in our world, in the world at large on the earth, is the agriculture, and agriculture is the first entrepreneur who came out. So therefore, it's great to be here. And what are we today? Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the trends that are going to be there. And I am going to talk to you about, if you find a business opportunity, how would you know whether this opportunity is a good one or not? That is basically going to be my thrust of the talk. How do I evaluate a good entrepreneurial opportunity? That's what we're going to start. And Samni, you can please start the PowerPoint. 1 minute. I'm not able to see the PowerPoint. 1 second. Yeah. So let's start with a lot of things happening in India. The word startup, and we are supposed to be the startup, one of the top 3 startup countries in the world, and we are number 3 in the world. So if you're looking at this, there are a lot of things happening, and I will focus my talk more in relation to agriculture. There's a lot of capacity building that's happening in this. So there are private guys who are doing trainings. There are the government which is throwing a lot of trainings. They're building a lot of capacity. They're causing a lot of awareness in entrepreneurship, and why it is no longer an option, but people have to start, especially post COVID. A lot of people are looking to start something of their own instead of searching for jobs, right? So there's a lot of skill trainings that are also happening. So when you talk about skills, whether it is household gadget repair or organic cosmetic making, or making pickles or packaging. So any of these things require skills, and there are specific short-term skilled programs that are hosted by the government from time to time through their partner institutions. Now, if you look at ACABC, I think most of you who are in agriculture have heard of this program by Manage, where it specifically gives you a training on how to start an agri startup, right? The Raftar scheme is the latest scheme of the Ministry of Agriculture that is again pervaded through Manage, and Raftar comes as a grant of 25 lakhs for existing agricultural startups who are 2 to 3 years old and looking to scale up. Grant means you don't have to return the money, right? And for an idea, they give about 5 lakhs as a grant. So that is the Raftar scheme. You can go and look it up on Google. Now, these are for an idea, an innovative idea, you get 5 lakhs. Of course, you have to go through the rigmarole of all the selection procedure. And if your idea is started, then yes, approved by the board, and then they will look at the long term, and then they will look at all these things before you go in for a sanction. Once the sanction happens, you have to undergo some trainings and all that stuff. Now, there is a lot of these capacity building, whether it is training on the job, off the job, they do a lot of trainings, lots. So the moment you decide to start something, then you can look at what are some of these training services that can help you. The second one is support. When you look at support, there are a lot of support systems, which means that which helps you. So today we have a lot of private guys who help you by saying, how do I register? How do I start? What are the legal procedures? So there are a lot of startups involved in, helping you to start up. How do I start up? Right? There's a lot of online processes where you can register the company and all that stuff. But the most important is sometimes you require a lot of advice. You require a lot of people, sounding boards to whom you can talk to, guide you and look at, help you, or, just be a think board. Now, this is basically what BYST does. Now, this is one of the supporting systems which is doing extremely well for the last 25 years, more than 25 years in our country. Bharata Yuva Shakti Trust is a national, and I'll talk to you more about it a little while from now. But BYST is one such thing which is attached along with CII, Confederation of Indian Industries. BYST concentrates on people below the age of 35. Now, and they provide people who will talk to you, who will guide you, and this is all free of charge. Another is, and I'll be talking to you a little more about it. And then we look at other things like startup accelerators and incubators. Now, all of you must have heard of an incubator. An incubator is a machine that keeps a baby that is born before time and keeps it in the hospital, just like how it is in the mother's womb. A business incubator, on the other hand, is a place where new startups are nurtured. Now, over here in the incubator, they not only help you, they give you space, they give you grant, they guide you, they network, they give you linkages, they help you with the testing, networking. A lot of things are offered all under one roof. And there are government incubators, there are also private incubators. There is also the government private PPP partnership. Now, most of the educational campuses have these incubators where the campus is private, but the fund is given by the government. And as you know, Startup India Fund has got a huge fund, and this is now being sent where to campuses to set up campus incubators. So you'll find in most places, especially top campuses, you'll find a lot of campus incubators. Of course, in Telangana and in Hyderabad, we do have the T Hub. We have the Manage Hub. And of course, the Millet Research, you have the Nutri Hub and the NAM. So there are quite a lot of agri-based incubators in, attached only in Hyderabad itself. Besides, of course, in Tamil Nadu and other places, there are a lot of these incubators which are focused on helping agricultural startups. Accelerators, on the other hand, are short term programs that are run basically for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where they pick up a cohort. Cohort means a batch of 20 people or 30 and intensively help them to scale up. Now, accelerators usually don't take ideation stage startups. Accelerators are basically more for companies that want to scale up, means they're already there and they don't know how to grow big. So such accelerators help such type of people, of startups which are looking to move up. And then of course there's a lot of funding and grants. I already talked to you about Raftar, ACABC. So there are a lot of fundings that and grants that are coming from the government. Besides this, there is also funding by specialist angels or VCs, where they venture capitalists, as they call. These guys are specialist kind of investors, higher than banks. Banks give you debt, whereas these guys will not give you debt means loan. These guys will give you like a partner. They'll come like a share in your profits, like that they come. But they come basically and stay with you for 3 4 max about 6 years, and then they will leave by exiting out, by selling off. So either you buy back that their the share from them, or you can sell it to third party who will pay them money. So these are all these things. But most important is there is a lot of research and development and testings and all that is really required. And these are all pre to the point before you start your entrepreneurship, especially if you're on an agri-tech entrepreneur, then you need to do a lot of research and development and work along with it before you actually develop the product. Next slide. So before we start on, I want you guys to understand what is a value chain. Now, value chain is exactly the entire, the prapancham, and in Telugu, what you call is the world. Now, if you want to look at the agricultural world, there are many verticals, no? Horticulture, pisciculture, apiculture, veterinary, dairy, crops, poultry, livestock. There are many things, right? But there is also, this is there. And then there is the seed, water, fertilizer, manure, pesticides, land. These are all inputs that need to be put. Okay. And in case of dairy, of course, the inputs are different. You need animals, livestock, etc. Then once all the inputs are put, you need to work on it, and you need, that is called production part, where you actually need to work and then monitor it and manage it. So after a particular season, you need to do the harvest, or you have to close that and harvest it. Once the harvest is done, you need to do a lot of marketing. Okay. And then you need to get the money, and these are also other activities that require lending money, paying money, etc. Besides this, you need to also do a lot of processing, packing. How do you go? So there are all these activities that are happening. Where are you? First of all, you should know in which is the space in the entire agriculture value chain. Where are you? Unless you know your location, you don't know where to go, right? So knowing where you are in the entire value chain, what is your location, is the first important thing to start, right? So that is why you need to understand the value chain. Next slide, please. So if you look at the agricultural sector, as per the government reports, there are 5 broad areas where entrepreneurship is happening big time, right? One is the information platforms. Basically, these guys help you and give you information about the weather. They give you information about your soil quality. They give you information of whether, the pesticides to be put or whatever. It tells you, is it time to harvest? So all sorts of information, the market price of the product, the global price, the Indian price, the local price, all these are nothing but information. So the information keeps coming to you. Now look at this. When you look at these 5 pillars, you need to look at what are the opportunities in this. So what I'm talking to you is, in this pillar of information, such type of startups happen. The second is, of course, finance, and all of you know, lending, innovative lending. Today, a lot of different kinds. They give money only for working capital. They give you insurance, crop insurance that happens beforehand. So, a lot of finances have been coming through. Under this heading of finance. Okay, so are you a startup looking for opportunity in the finance area, where you can provide them insurance, can provide them working capital, you can provide them post harvest money. Today, a lot of innovative financial instruments are coming, right? Then the third thing that we are looking at is the supply chain. Now, this is a very, very important thing, because the channels in which the supply goes plays a very important role. So whether it is an online supply, e-market, link platforms, so all these supply chain management, okay, from table to, sorry, what is that? Farm to table, farm to fork, as they call it. All these come under the supply chain, where you are you looking for an entrepreneurial activity in the supply chain, where logistics play a very important role. Storage plays a very important role. Where are you storing, warehousing, movement? All these are a part of your supply chain opportunities. Another area where you get entrepreneurial activities is in the data analytics. So there is a lot of data that is being collected. Can you use algorithms like artificial intelligent algorithms to, break it and get precise information that can be, curated, and the specific information goes to the person. So data analytics is another great opportunity. And another one is, of course, at the end is the infrastructure. So whether you're looking at, any of these building these drip irrigation system, or providing an end-to-end technical solution, like something like our hydroponics, where the entire thing is given, where of how to grow these plants, etc. Today you have a lot of IoT devices, internet of things, no, IoT devices, now especially like wearables. So if you look at Stella apps, they have got a small chip that they put on the cow's ear, and this will definitely help us to keep on your phone, when is the cow, how much milk it's giving, when all it's giving, what all it's feeding. Everything comes like on a data sheet on your phone or on the computer. Now, such a thing is called as, a wearable, and especially cattle wearable, and Stella Apps is doing so is also EMI. So when you're looking at all these type of startups which are in these opportunity areas, you need to understand, once you know where you are in the value chain and what is your location, and from there you need to look at what are the opportunities for me to start. And then you're looking at, can I start in this area, can I start in this area, can I start in this area? Next slide, please. So again, I'm going to go through a couple of more examples, and these are some of the latest things that are coming. All of you must have heard of the drones, and how the drones today are doing a lot of data-driven diagnostics is done through the drones. So besides splashing pesticide, it also takes photos and gets back to you on all these things. So it covers long distances. Companies like Fuzzle are now doing the same, all these agri-techs. There is a lot like EM3 who are doing equipment renting. Then there is, of course, the market linkages like NinjaCart and all that, which do farm to fork, right? Farm to table, farm to fork, as they call it. Lot of companies have, like, for example, Clover, or this, what is that? There's another one. So all these guys, actually, they were doing B2B, right? Which means they used to collect from the farmer and give it to supermarkets and other business houses. This was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, they had to adapt. So instead of giving it to business, they started directly doing farmer to household consumer. So from B to B, They shifted from to B to C, and directly they started, through WhatsApp, supplying food, vegetables and fruits to the houses directly during COVID times. And that's a pivot, as we call it. Now, pivot in a startup language means you're doing one business and you find something happening untoward. So, therefore, in order to survive or in order to perform better, you change your course of action. That's called pivoting. And in case you find that what you're doing is working very well for you, you persevere in that line. So, as a business, you continuously pivot or you persevere, but that's how business goes, right? So, when you're looking at all these startups, you can look at some of the great opportunities. I'm going to talk. Why am I talking to you about all these guys, these new startups? Is for you to click and say, oh, there is an opportunity there, right? So, of course, market linkages we talk. Then you can talk about fintech, like working capital needs. We already talked about that. There are specific IoTs we talked about, Stella apps, digital agriculture, that everything is coming. Way back in 2007, some students of RV Engineering College, Bangalore, had given in that old Nokia phone, the 3010 stone, as my children call it. No, in that which has no, it's not smart, it's just a phone. And this 3010 first model of cell phone, say that farmer would just give a missed call, and from Bangalore, these guys used to switch it on, and the pump used to get switched on. Excuse me. The pump used to get switched on, and then they'll get a missed thing. He'll give one more point, and at that time the fertilizers will get mixed and it'll go through the drip irrigation, and then with another message on the thing. All this is happening free of charge for this guy. So you have to understand that just with missed calls, they were running a entire big greenhouse at that time, sponsored by the Department of Horticulture. But this particular activity was, that guy was paying something around 450 in those days, but then it was the beta version. I'm talking so early, guys. But what I'm trying to tell you is, so much digitalization has happened. And today we are looking at, as per the NASCOM report, the rural is going to go totally online. And e-commerce, 75% of Indian e-commerce is going to come from Indian rural area. They're also looking at 75% of the data to be in local languages. So that's a big change that's going to happen in the next couple of years, is that all the data, etc., is going to get into the vernacular languages. And I see a lot of startups in this area, especially in IIIT. We have in the NLP labs, we have so many startups in this translation on how, local Indian languages. And then today we are looking at, how do I capture the data at source and still keep it authentic? So capturing data at source is very, very big. So if you look at the technologies, if you're looking at, there are four big technologies that you have to do. Whether you're doing agriculture, you're doing deep tech, it doesn't matter. You have to be socially on the loop. Means you should not only have an identity, you should also have a social identity, which means you need to have a Facebook, you need to have a Twitter, you need to have an Insta, you need to have a website, and you should be known in a virtual. People will always, the moment they hear your name, they'll go refer you virtually. So you should have a virtual address and a virtual identity. So that's very important. Social media, having an identity. The second most important is mobile. Today, Zindagi starts and ends with a mobile, right? So you can measure the fetus heartbeats with your mobile phone app, and you can also look at, getting your insurance claim online after, the life insurance claim. So Zindagi ke saath, Zindagi ke baad bhi types. So this phone is there, and mobile is going to be the way of life. So if you are not available mobile, then you lose out a lot of businesses. So therefore, be on the mobile. Okay, investing and being on the mobile is very, very important, especially youngsters. I don't have to tell you all anything about the mobile. The third important technology that's going to take up the world and be there to stay is of course the analytics. As I was talking to you about analytics, we have so much of information going, and there's so much we definitely need from the so much data that is there, we need to drill. So now they're saying data is the new oil, because you have to drill data to get information, and that is gold. So therefore they are saying data is the new oil. So data analytics, and this could be a fantastic opportunity if you combine it with agricultural data of your space, and then if you can drill it and give information to the people, then it will be very, very useful. So data analytics is a huge technology that's here to say. And the last but not the least is the storage of data, which is your cloud storage, because the data is going to be so much. Now these are technologies that are going to drive, but I am more concerned with the first one, that is the social media and mobile. So if you're looking at your business at large, and if you're looking at opportunities in agricultural area, these are some of the things that you can look at, because you cannot say, hey, I'm doing agriculture, I don't need tech. You're going to be hit by tech, come what may, right? So whether you're doing a fortified milk, or you're going to do, lot of startups have coming in the ready to eat, ready to cook sector, etc. Now all these ready to cook, ready to eat foods today that are coming, especially the Indian variety, are great opportunities in food processing. Next slide, please. So I think today co-farming is another new trend that is happening. That just like how you have these holiday homes, where actually you're going to uh, uh, you want to go to a big space, but you don't have money, but you can buy a timeshare, which means for 5 days every year you can go stay in this resort, no, like this Mahindra Sterling resort and all that stuff. So similarly, you can go to a farm and spend 5 6 days there in the farm and do the farming work. It's become a huge tourist attraction. So not only can you have a bit of the farm, own a bit of the farm, for 4 5 days. Another big trend that's happening is the cooperatives, which are already existent in our country. We are one of the largest cooperative, like Amul is the pioneer in all this. Besides this, we have the farmers associations, etc., etc. So here we are looking at resource being bought in bulk and being shared by all the members of the cooperatives. That's becoming another, the inputs especially. Because of digitalization, the inputs are being now streamed through these farm associations. And of course, we have already talked about how you are very empowered when you have information. Next, please. So I think all of you do know about Ninja Cart, but what I want to concentrate is what was Ninja Carts, what was the problem that Ninja Cart was, trying to address, right? So if you see, one of the things was the farmers were highly dependent on the middle people, and Ninja Cart decided to make everything transparent on an app, and that's how they got. But more than anything, they worked a lot with the farmer group, the horticulturist group, so that even they had their entire data. They could profile it and give it to them, so that farmers can actually get a loan based on what are the transactions they've done with Ninja Cart. Now this became something like your purchase orders, right? And banks usually fund you on purchase orders. So the biggest problem that everybody had, you look at the problem that was there before Ninja Cart did it in a very organized way. There were people who were looking for fresh farm vegetables and fruits. There was these businesses that were selling these fruits and vegetables, were looking at bulk purchases of fresh food and services, fresh food that would, they could get on a consistently good basis, so that they don't have to go to the market to buy it, but it could be dropped at their doorstep. They were having problems on that. And then there were these farmers here who were not getting a good price. And then there were these they had to take it to the market, and then from the market look at the agent, and then the agent will go. So there was a huge hangama, and there was a lot of these problem areas, and Ninja Cart used technology to solve this by going through an app. Now why am I talking a lot about problems? Because when you solve a problem, that's when you get value. And when you look at a business opportunity, whether it's rural, urban, semi-rural, semi-urban, it doesn't matter. For a startup, if you solve a problem, you are a success, right? You create value, and value creation is startup. So the best thing is, if you want to do a startup, or if you're already doing a startup, is to study the problem that you're trying to solve. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Let me give you another example. Redbus, right? Fanindra Sama wanted to, once he was placed in the campus immediately, and for Diwali, he wanted to come home, he and his friends, and this is in 2006. And when he came out, he found there were no bus tickets, right? And the government buses were all full, and there were thousands of private buses, but you never know which one stops where is the ticket, nothing, right? There were so many buses from Bangalore to Hyderabad, but where do I get the tickets? Can you imagine? You have to go stand, go look at where can I get tickets and all, or go to that road in which there are a lot of these bus ticket private bus players, right? So he came back and decided to do Red Bus, and you know how big Red Bus is a success, right? So here is a pressing problem that people had. The private bus owners and all didn't even know how many buses, where the tickets are coming, when will they get. They just stop and they pick up people, right? It's very difficult. Most of the time they have seats, and there are most of the time there are people who don't get a ticket. So the matching between the tickets and the number of people who are traveling from one place to another was done through Redbus. So here is a solution that created value and solved the problem for both sides, right? Next slide, please. Now, in the new normal, as we call it, right? I always say there are two things, right? AC and BC in all my talks. After COVID and before COVID. And after COVID, it's a new normal. Life has to change. And today, whether our children are studying online totally, and today teaching is happening online, and everything is going online. We are also ordering online, touchless dining, a lot of these things happening, right? And for example, Acre Foods is another agri-tech company which is again doing B2B. They also pivoted B2C. Remember, I told you the Clover, Bijak also. They are into in Uttar Pradesh. They are into e-commerce, and they have also, now why I talked about Clover and Bijak is that they adapted. So did Acre. Many of the agri-tech startups adapted and pivoted into newer ways. But most important is these two guys are the well known in the startup community because they raised money during COVID. They were able, means investors were ready. The measurement of a business is based on a startup, the popularity of a startup, or the basis on which usually one of the metrics that you measure a startup with is, have people trust them enough to put money, investment, right? So the fact that you've been invested shows that the company's got great promise, right? And if you look at the Indian agriculture, the ministry says there's a $350 billion industry. Okay. And the Sequoia is another very big venture capitalist. And they have also said this is what they're saying, that it's a very, very big market, and there's a lot of space for people to actually start playing in this market. Next slide, please. So as I said, if you solve a problem, you create value. Okay. So the bigger the problem, the bigger the value, the bigger the solution. And if your solution is cheaper, faster, better than the existing solution for the problem, man, do you have an opportunity. What did I say? There is a problem, and this problem is currently being solved by XYZ solutions. If your solution is cheaper, faster, and better than the existing solutions, you have a great business opportunity. So when you solve problems, you create value. And when the value is cheaper, faster, and better than the existing value created, you have a better business opportunity. Let's go to the next slide. So one of the things that before you start a business, a startup, is the fact that you need to look at, are you going to build a key, or are you going to find a door and open it. So finding the door is akin to finding a problem, and then you're building a key to open the door. Is better than finding a solution, making the product, and then saying, okay, this is a problem, it solves. Next slide, please. These are some of the values that you can create. See, for example, you can reduce the efforts, which means you don't have to work so much. You can, avoid hassles, or it saves time. Like, saves time is like your washing machine that can save you time, right? Simplifies, where you don't have to do anything. You just do 1, 2, 3, cut, open, mix, right? Rasna, you get it. The reduces cost. Nirma came at 8 rupees when surf was selling at 13 rupees. Quality, variety, right? So I have one of my mentees here who's making coconut water mocktails, and she's got 101 varieties of it with fruit juices. Sensory appeal is, of course, the way they appeal to your eyes, nose, and ears. And if you look at information, Google is the one that's giving you an extremely great an example for value. So there is again many values that are created, like reducing anxiety. You're worried, so all these insurance, etc., reduce your anxiety. Chalo, kuch hua to thoda insurance bhi milega types, right? So you can refer this, whenever you're planning to do a startup and you want to look at what is the value I'm helping to create, you can look at this bing.com, bing.com, and you'll find this value pyramid. Sort of gives you an idea what type of comfort people don't buy products, they buy value that the products bring. That's why I'm concentrating on value. What is the value that you're going to create for your customer? That is the most important question that you need to ask. And to ask that question, you need to have a pre-question, that is, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? Next. So how do you start ideating and how do you go about it? So as I already told you, identify the problems. Now, be very, very clear as to what is the problem by looking at it from the user's view. You think that it is a problem for me. For example, if you think that, oh, I think this, visually impaired person will find it difficult to climb the bus because he won't know where the door is or something like that. On the other hand, if you go ask that visually challenged person, they may say, ma'am, it's not difficult for me to find the door, but climbing up the steps is where the problem is. So you would actually look at a newer angle of the problem. So the best thing is to get validation, that don't assume this is the problem I have, right? The problem I have may be what you see and what I feel are two different things. So the first thing that you do is, whatever you have in your mind, validate it by going and actually asking that person, is this a problem? How big is the problem? Where is the problem? When is the problem? So do a lot of research on the problem. 365 degrees, you have to study the problem before you actually build the solution. Remember the door and the key, right? So get out of the building. GOOTB is get out of the building. Don't think by doing secondary research on the laptop is enough. It's not. You need to go out and ask people, do you have a problem? How big is the problem? This is very, very important. Okay. Then analyze the current solutions that are there. What are you currently doing for the problem? Then think of ideas. Think of 2, 3 ideas. And then for this idea, really, list out what all you need in terms of technology, money, time, resources, man, money, machine. And once you evaluate the idea and you pick up all the inputs, then you build the prototype, and then again go back to the customer and say, hey, do you think the solution works? And then once they again confirm it, then start building your main product and then start selling it. Okay. Next slide, please. Now, this is only for ideation, guys. Okay. Whenever you're building a product or you're thinking of starting something, you need to make sure you know for whom are you doing this. So the problem facers persona means you have to draw up, this is a typical type of a person who would require my product. And it's very important that you continuously test. Next. So we come to the crux of today's talk. How do I evaluate whether the opportunity that I'm looking at or the idea that I have to do a startup is a good business opportunity? Guys, remember, all ideas are good. Is it worth your time and efforts? Will it be a commercially viable business idea? That's what we are going to look at. Will you make it a success commercially? Can I make money? To do this, you need to look at three important buckets, right? Three important points. And that is customer, competition, and competencies. The three C's, as I call them. So if you have an idea, first put it through three filters. The first filter that I'm talking to you is customers. Does it have a market? How big is the problem? Who has the problem? Who is your user? Who is going to buy your product? Remember, you have to know this very important thing. Who? Baby food, baby will use, parents will buy. So the people buying it is the customer, right? So you have to know who is a user or a consumer, as they call it, user or consumer, and who is the customer. You also need to know who is the influencer, who can influence the customer, right? So for example, for baby food, the grandmother, grandparents can influence, or the pediatric doctor can influence the parents. So you need to be very, very clear as to, in your market, who is your market and who is your customer, who is your user, how big is your market, will it be a sustainable market or is it a flash in the pan? So these are some things that you need to study when you clearly look at an idea. And the next you need to look at is your industry, in terms of who is your competition, how are you better. Take top 5 features of your competition and compare your features with it and say, how are you better than them? What is your secret sauce? How can you do better than them? How can you do better than them? And how can you make profits? Very important. You can't just say, I am better than them, and then sink into a huge loss. So you need to be very careful. Can I make money? So under this, can I do better than my competition and still make money and profit more than them? That's very important. Those are the questions that you ask there, in terms of how profitable are my competition. If your competition is profitable, that means this business is good. If the industry is growing up well, and they say the agri industry is poised for growth, oh, then you're in the food processing industry is doing good. Oh, organic vegetables is doing good. Okay, fine. These are all the information that you've got from the second party. But most important is, in this, who is your immediate competitor? How are they doing? Are they making profits? And how can you compete against them? And in spite of your secret sauce, or something unique about you, earn more than them. That is what we look at, the economic feasibility of winning over your competition. The third is, of course, competencies. Competencies is inside ourselves. What are our knowledge? Do we have the skills? Me means doesn't mean me. Never a single person. It's always a group, a team. So does the team have complementary skills? Does the team have knowledge? Does the team have networking? Which means, are you having the correct linkages? And are you all having the same vision that, yes, I want this company to be here in 2 to 3 years? So vision, ambition and vision, knowledge and skills, and networking. Do you have all these three? If you don't, then look at people who have this and join them in your team. So when you're looking at an idea, and you're looking at an idea and saying, is this idea good? Ask yourself 5, 6 questions on the customer, 5, 6 questions on the competition and how you can beat the competition and still make a profit. And ask yourself 5, 6 questions on competencies. What is the knowledge, skills, ambition that you have, and time that you can spend on your business. With these three things, please remember the 3 C's. You can evaluate any idea. If you are confused, give 10 marks, and give you, if you have 2, 3 ideas, then you can give 10 marks for each. In your own mind, how much marks will you give for this idea? Like that, you can also mark and rate yourself, and then choose which ideas got a better commercial viability. There's also this very famous framework that is given by Ed Rubesch. And he says, ask yourself 5 questions. What is the problem? Who has the problem? What is your unique solution? how can you defend against competition, and what all do you need in terms of man, money, machine, material, technology. That is the infrastructure. Okay. Next slide, please. So once you have evaluated an idea, you need to validate it by going back to the customers and talking. And then you need to design how are you going to reach the customer, how are you going to build a relationship with the customer, and how are you going to make it happen in terms of what will be the job processes, resources, partners that you can take. And of course, the most important, what would be the cost and how would you make money? Next. So now I'm going to talk to you a little about Bharat Yuva Shakti Trust, which is an NGO which is started in 1991 by Mrs. Lakshmi Venkateshan, daughter of President Venkatraman, ex-president of our country. And she, along the patron for this is Prince Charles from Britain. But along with Tata ji, decided to start an NGO that will help young entrepreneurs to make a beginning. But the most important part of BYST is the mentoring movement that they have started, wherein people like us in the, who are entrepreneurs and others who would like to spare some time to do some social service, volunteer as mentors, and then we are trained how to mentor, and then we are given people to mentor in terms of entrepreneurs who will come to us, and we mentor them for 2 years. Now basically BYST is keen to work with entrepreneurs in the age group of 18 to 35, and they are having great ideas with the will to determine. So how do we do this? Next slide. You can visit the website bystonline.org. Now, these are the BYST current board of trustees. The current chairman, of course, is Naushad Forbes, and earlier it was Rahul Bajaj, and JRD Tata is a founding chairman. Okay. Next. So basically, as soon as an entrepreneur comes to BYST, we counsel them, and then we help them get money by looking at their businesses. And, we link you to banks in terms of Mudra or CGT SMA loan. For all these things, we help you with the documentation. And once your loan is through, we also help you by mentoring you for 2 years and help you with the business development through capacity building workshops, training programs, exposure, networking events, etc. So each entrepreneur will be given one-to-one mentoring. Next. So this is my mentee, Rahman, and he's become a high flyer. He's touching about 1 crore turnover, and he is into ready-made garments. Next, please. So with this, let me close today's talk, and I'm ready now for questions.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We are indeed, it's great to know all these details which are not usually available for all the audience. And I see many comments and many appreciations to your presentation. Ma'am, we will take the Q&A session.
Yeah.
We have our associate, Ms. Shruti. She will be taking care of these sessions. And if anyone, I request all the participants, if anyone wants to ask question on live, please raise your hand so that we can unmute you and we can request you to post your question. Or else please post your questions in the chat box, which Shruti will be taking to ma'am further. Thank you. Shruti, you can take it forward.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, one question from Nirmala Rani. My interest is to start organic solutions for cleaning. Can you please help on this?
So, Shruti, what is it that you want to look at? What sort of help are you looking? See, one of the things that whenever you approach anybody for help, okay, is the fact that you should be clear what is it that you want. When you are clear what is it you want, like I want some advice on how do I build organic solutions, or B, do you think it's a good idea, I want to evaluate whether organic solutions is a good business opportunity. Number 3, so you should be very clear as to what is it that you are wanting information on when you make a query. Okay, so that is the first thing. It's just not talking, but it's also very important that you should, you know, specifically write down your doubts. That's very, very important when you are talking. Okay, so this is a tip that I'm giving you. So if you think starting organic solutions, now what is organic solutions? Are you looking at organic vegetables? Are you looking at organic disinfectant solutions? What is it that you're looking at? Organic food, ready to eat food, organic, ready to cook food. What exactly? Are you going to supply organic, ready-made foods and become a cloud kitchen? Are you going to only farm ready-made? So there are so many sectors in that. So be a little bit
Hello,
more specific.
Ma'am, we have requested Nirmala Garu to
ma'am.
put the query.
Ma'am, it's very good morning, very good afternoon, ma'am. It's a privilege to meet you like this. Actually, my idea about organic solutions is nowadays we are all very much familiar with the problems we are facing with the dish bars, surf, and hair wash liquids. My idea is, and recently I gone through a better experience. One of my close relative,
So it's basically
she's
organic,
cleaning solutions.
cleaning solutions. Now
Yeah, ma'am.
now that is very good. Now in
Yeah.
that you're looking at how do I evaluate whether organic cleaning
Exactly.
solution is a good business opportunity or not.
Exactly,
Nirmala,
ma'am.
where are you? Where are you based?
Vizag, ma'am, Andhra Pradesh.
Okay, so thank you. We'll use Nirmala ma'am's example, and I'm going to look at, I told you the 3 buckets, right? So when we are looking at cleaning solutions, we have different ways to look at who has cleaning problems, right? So it could
Yes.
be a householder, it could be a hospital, it could be a factory, it can be, you know, you need to look at your various segments of users who all
Yes.
use organic, who all use cleaning solutions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then from the cleaning solutions, you have many opportunities. Are we going to supply to the government for cleaning solutions, which means it's a huge market and government buys 25% of its purchases from small timers. So are we looking at this segment? Number 2, are we looking at corporate? Corporate does cleaning, but corporate has outsourced this to cleaning agencies.
Yes, ma'am.
Who only do
Yes.
housekeeping. So can we do a bulk supply to housekeeping? Right?
Yes.
Housekeeping
Yes,
agencies.
ma'am.
Or can I, you know, sell it directly to people in the house, right? So which
Yes.
means, can I sell directly means can I put it online and people can buy it? Or
Yeah.
should I send it through supermarkets? Now these are all methodologies, but for you, you need to look at who is going to be my ultimate customer. Anybody who buys is a customer, but your effort should be focused on this. So number 1, depending on who is your customer segment, whom you're forced, you know, who do you think really looks for this organic cleaning material?
Okay.
Then one next you need to look at is, currently there's a lot of competition, right? And there's
Yes.
a whole lot of agricultural based cleaning solutions that are come, organic based cleaning solutions. Today we have so many, even washing vegetables we can do with organic solutions, right? And if you're looking at all these things, competition, how are you going to be better? One of the things is the space is very new. Lot of people are slowly moving in. Okay, so
Okay.
and there is a lot of unorganized market in this sector. So the competition
Yes,
for you
ma'am.
is more from unorganized local sectors. So
Okay.
there are again 2 ways. Are you going to put your own brand, or are you going to make it bulk and supply it to some well-known brand which will put their brand name and sell, which means you're subcontracted.
Okay, ma'am.
That's another one. The third thing that you're looking is, of course, your skills and knowledge. Have you got some knowledge, and how have you gathered it, and what is your formula something which can be protected, so that, you know, you have mixed a particular mix which is very good. You can register that and protect it. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, Nirmala. Look
Thank
at all
you.
these
Thank you
things.
so much,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah. It's a good space to be in, especially AC after COVID. Yes, please, next.
Suha
Okay, ma'am.
Patwa.
Another question from Hussein Garu. What is the potential of organic farming of vegetables?
Well, if you ask me, I'm a little skeptical about organic farming because as per international rules, the organic farming is, if you follow it to the dot, 3 years you are not supposed to grow anything. The soil testing, and there's a whole lot of rigmarole, and the production capacity is not so great. But for leafy vegetables, when you use these hydroponics, aquaponics, these type of things, the yield is quite okay. But when you look at real time vegetables and horticulture, it requires a tremendous amount of care and protection, and therefore shifting gradually to organic would be much better. If you're already in cultivation, then shifting or keep a certain space only for organic and some space so that you can balance your losses. Yeah, I hope I've answered your question. It is a very good market. There's a lot of high price for it now happening, and with direct, farm to folk, as they call it. Like I told, these Clover guys and all these guys, directly from, I can just send a WhatsApp and the organic vegetable comes to my house at my doorstep. So today, because of the availability of these things, organic produce has got a huge market. Okay. Yes. Hello?
Yes. Are the questions over, Shruti? Can we allow the participants to post their questions? Yeah, I'm allowing Suhas Patwaji. Please post your question to ma'am. Please unmute yourself. Suhas Patwaji. Yeah, we'll go to the next participant.
Somebody has asked about animal husbandry. There is a huge market for animal husbandry. Today, there are a lot of apps and IoTs and wearables that are happening on livestock to create, monitor, and use livestock's management. There are huge tech solutions for these now, and I think and there's a lot of loans happening for these in terms of easy money, in terms of not easy money, in terms of easier access to money for these type of newer technologies in animal husbandry. Very happening, using tech solutions on cattle's. Big thing. You can monitor how much milk is coming, how much food they have taken, what food gave better milk yield. To that extent, you can monitor.
I request the participants who want to post the question on live to unmute yourself and then speak. Nirmala Garu, you
Hello.
can ask. Yeah.
Ma'am, sorry to disturb you again. My brain is storming with lots of doubts about this organic solution and the related, like organic veggies, as you mentioned now. So you mentioned that lots of more and more competition is there, and many brands, very good established companies are there. But coming to the domestic one, I am experiencing the same. From past 5 months, I stopped my servant maid. My hands are turning like scaly. So many problems are there. Yeah, ma'am.
I agree with you, Ma. I'm not saying there is no need for such a solution. All I'm saying is there's a huge competition, which shows that the product, there is a lot of need for such a product. The question is the competition is too high, right? And there is a lot. So you need to decide on what is the best mode in which you launch your product, and you'll also need to see which is the segment who's underserved. Is it the hospital, is it the household, or is it the big corporates which are looking, or the housing cleaning agencies who will require
ladies, ma'am. domestic, we ladies.
How did you decide on that? Did you do a validation? Did you talk
No.
to 100 women and I say, would
Okay.
you shift? Right? And if they say, number one, and you need to also talk to 4 5 hospitals. You need to
Okay.
talk to 4 5 companies and then see which of the segment has got a better need because it's a very competitive market. So you need
Mhm.
to do a lot of validation before you do.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So once
Thank.
you decide who requires your product more, everybody, there's a lot of competition, and all these guys are getting served also. But you need
Okay.
to find that space in that thing which is a little less so that you can, move in.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am, please suggest me the way of validation. In this pandemic, we can't go out. No, ma'am. Can you please suggest
The
how I can?
only way to do validation is to do a Facebook survey, WhatsApp survey. Nowadays,
Oh,
everybody is doing that only.
okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Am I
Yeah.
audible?
Yes, Anu.
Okay, ma'am, I'm from Chandigarh, and I just was thinking of having a rural entrepreneurship.
Mm.
And so, if I need to, my work is related with the marginal farmers to upgrade those and to have the product from them and use them into the urban cities and so. So, what is the best way is to find out those rural marginal farmers. What will be the best? I think because rural areas we have societies also working there. So, but there are certain farmers who have very seasonal produces, so they generally don't go with the societies also. So my purpose was to have those farmers which are generally are not selling the product but they have surplus in some seasons. So what is the best way to go with those entrepreneurships, whether I should find and contact the those farmers which having the seasonal products, or should I go with the societies that are all are equally important? And I mean, what should the best way to do that?
So, one of the things that you should understand is that most of the startups who have had success, okay,
Hmm.
are basically going through these farming societies
Hmm.
because you get a bulk thing and you have a lot of data and you can help. Now, the solutions that you are creating is specifically for the individual farmer who you feel is not a part of this and who's still got a surplus, right? It's the real
Yes.
low marginal farmers that you are
Mm.
looking at. And
Yes.
to contact them, it has to be only through primary survey, which means you need to go there and pick them
Mm.
and enroll them,
Yes.
one by
Yes.
one. That is
Yes.
the only option. They are not there in the radar of a society.
Yes. Yes.
And therefore, and with the individual farmers, there's another
Mm.
thing. How do you prove to them that you're good? Because
Mm.
they get very scared whether they are in for a, ride
Mm.
or something like that.
Mm. Okay.
So it's better that you get the approval and of the society at large, and take them into your confidence of that local society over there, and
Okay.
then say, I'm looking at this, and to join me also.
But
It will be a,
societies can, do we really can believe on societies because they will be giving us the right product? I mean, they have
no, no,
certain
no, no.
guidelines also.
I'm not saying that way to be. All I'm just saying is, how if you walk into a individual farmer and
Hmm.
say, I'm doing this for you and this is the value I'm helping you get,
Yes.
how would he believe you?
Okay.
What grounds?
Yeah.
What is your authentication? So
Okay.
I said,
That.
get an authentication from the farmer society or from an university or whatever.
Uh,
You need
yes.
to
Yes.
have some authenticated thing for that person to believe.
Suppose if we
Mostly
have
these
that
guys
because.
go a lot of
uh,
reference. These guys go a lot by reference.
Yes, yes.
Neighbor
Because
reference, peer
actually,
reference.
I'm from a rural area itself, so I can have some contact with those certain farmers. But I was in doubt whether because they still have certain societies nearby, but they just reluctant to go there and talk to the societies, and they don't go and sell their product there also. So my question was if I can somehow can contact such farmers, so will it be right to go to the direct farmers, or we should also incorporate the societies together?
So that's what, as I think I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you is
Yes, please.
today most of the startups have found success going through these societies.
Societies. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
these are
Okay.
proven success models.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Now, if you want to bypass this and you feel that individual farmers are better to
Mm.
contact directly, if you want
Okay.
that model,
Okay.
then it's a very
Lot of
slow
efforts.
process and you
Mm.
need to build in one by one, one by one.
Okay. 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 Okay.
That's how you have to add. Whereas this,
Okay.
you will directly get 100.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And when it comes from the command of the society, these guys will consider it. If you go individually, they'll say, did my
Mm.
neighbor do it? Did so and so do
Okay.
it? It's
Okay.
like that.
Okay. 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 Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Ma'am, I've been responding on the questions which I can answer on this side also.
Okay.
Yes, we can unmute few of them. Yeah, Mallikarjuna Garu, please ask your question now.
Ma'am, I have a question. Hello, are you am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you are.
See,
Chepandi.
I'm a grower. I have a grower. Okay, I'm growing one of the unique produce. Okay, I want to tag a
I'm not able to hear you well. It's very electrified.
I think we lost him. Uh, 1 second.
Guys, if any of you finding it any difficult, please write to Agrigar. I'm there on their board. They will definitely refer it back to me and I can write back to you individually also.
I think he lost.
Cashew processing, Samir. Very interesting thought. I lived in Goa for 6 years, so I'm very, very fond of that. Yes, there is a lot in nut processing, and today there is a whole lot of opportunities in cashew processing. More important is the mixture of cashew juice with other juices. Today, it's becoming a huge organic profitable ventures. So yes, there is a great business opportunity in cashew processing. Is there any particular area that you are thinking of? And then maybe we can talk about it in detail. And where are you based out of? Because cashew processing, you require to be near the, where cashew is grown the most.
Yeah, there is one question, ma'am, from the name is not displaced, maybe Priya. I'm interested in exporting of dried flowers, that is jasmine. How can I evaluate my idea and get the customer, foreign customer?
So the first thing you need to do is, what is the market for dried flowers in which place? For example, if you go and do a lot of Google search and you see the dried flower markets today, there's a lot of waste flowers becoming agarbattis, manures, etc. If you're looking at dried flowers in terms of, there are, again, if you look in China, these dried flowers are used for tea, to create tea decoctions, organic tea decoctions, jasmine flavored tea, those type of flowers. So if you're looking at dried flowers specifically for food reasons, or are you looking at it for decorative purposes? Are you looking at potpourri and others? So one of the things that you need to look at is what type of flowers are you planning to export, number one. Number two, you need to see who, as I said, the first one, customer who requires dried flowers. So potpourri makers, or food makers, tea makers. These are, if you're looking at, that's why I said look at who requires your product. Do a research and see which country exports a lot of dried flowers. And the once you realize who is your customer, you need to see what are the competitions currently there and how can you provide a better edge over the competition. And once you do that, You please find out 3 names of 3 companies who are exporting dried flowers or who are even making dried flowers, and then check out where all they are selling and where all it is used. As I already pointed out, and I'm very sure you must have also done your homework. But the most important is it a great business opportunity? Is something that you need to look at today. Agriculture is a very profitable business opportunity. The question is, it is profitable, but the question is execution. Your idea may sound good, but a great idea, if it is not executed well, will fail miserably. So ideas, whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter as long as the execution of the idea, which means how do you go about implementing your idea? That is the most important thing, right? So you will find that some models become success, some people, cannot make it a success. So where maybe you need to look at what are the technologies for drying these flowers. So today we have these rose petals which are solar powered. I know in Coimbatore, one of the incubators is doing in a very big ways, the solar drying of rose petals on all these things. So once if you're doing this, you need to also look at there is the market to do this. So production wise, you are able to do it. I find that a lot of people are able to do production. The question is searching for a market, and that requires a whole lot of research. Validation. That's why I keep saying the word validation. And validation means you need to go and talk to people who are doing this. For example, you could go talk to potpourri guys who are making those dried flowers, potpourri guys, manufacturing companies. Call them, talk to them and say, I'm giving this. What are you looking for? Now, you don't tell them I will supply. The first thing is when you do this, you need to contact them and ask them, hey, what problems do you have with dried flowers? I'm looking at this. So talking to people who are using it, don't sell them. Don't first say, I'm selling dried flowers, would you like to buy? You call them up and talk to them. What are the problems associated with dried flowers? What are the smell is not there, or this is not there. So just check. So then maybe you can, actually look. So take it feature by feature. The smell, preservation, packaging. So you need to break it up into all these things. So that's where the implementation part plays a very huge role. And yes, it's a good opportunity, but you need to find a great way to implement it by doing a whole lot of research and validation. Yes. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mallikarjuna Garu, you can ask your question now.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, I posted my question. There is some problem network connectivity.
Do you want us to
The
read the
question two
feedback?
and yeah. I need a feedback or if any solution for this.
Yeah. Ma'am, his question is there a solution for tagging the product based out of genetic purity, based on region or area as producer, to sell this product across the globe to reach the customer who is buying migrated from area across the globe? Maybe
The question is like, say for example, taken a banana I'm growing in a Mysore region. The banana, which is like a very indigenous, even if you go and grow in Hyderabad, you cannot get that particular genetic purity or a taste. The same thing I want to market across.
Sorry, that's called geographical.
Yeah, like I want to tag like the specific item if I want to sell
Tirupati
it.
Laddu or Pochampalli.
No, not Tirupati Lad. It is a naturally grown produce. I'm talking about naturally grown produce.
So, see, one of the thing in tagging your product on a.
No, basically what I'm looking, supply chain where like I am a producer. It is an indigenous. I want to get the market value. If I want to sell that market value, say for example, one small banana, it is around 25 rupees. But if you go and sell the same thing in across mixing with other items, the value of the banana may be 1 rupee. I want to tag and I want to sell it. The similar, some people, their buyers in across the globe from my region, they want to eat that banana. Is there any such kind of a solution where it can support any supply chain?
So there is the new one that's come in terms of is creating your own brand. First of all, for example, you should start by making a brand. The brand is Mysore Banana. Okay, so once you create a brand, that means you are putting a level of brand value on it, that this particular banana comes from Mysore and it has XYZ uses, or it's stating sweet or whatever, this level of quantum, and it is very purebred, it's organic, whatever, but then the brand is what you have to build. If you're looking at legal rights, okay, that's a different matter. Then you should have grafted and you should have got that particular way of grafting and that seed hybridization of the seeds,
No,
all that.
I know that. Okay,
Then in
what
that
I'm
case,
looking
what
at
you
the
have to do is
solution.
only build a brand.
No, I'm not talking about to build a brand. That is like a secondary. Before that, to reach like a other person who is sitting at the end of the globe, if he is from my region, he want to eat that specific item.
Sir, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Legally, if you want some right saying that this is what it is, when I say this Mysore banana, then you need to apply for
Yeah,
intellectual property rights. To apply for intellectual property rights, you should have the original formula for grafting that banana plant or the genetic
no,
combination which
see,
is found by you.
I am focusing on only everything is intellectual tag, everything legal rights, everything is there to make sure that the brand value, we want to eat that particular. Is there?
So do you own the, first
Because
let me
we are
ask you,
talking so
can
many
you
things.
answer me my
Yeah,
question 1 minute? Do you
yeah,
already
yeah,
own a
please.
intellectual
Yeah.
property right on this particular banana strain?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Is
Now
it clear tagged?
he's
Yeah,
already got
I'm
a.
growing that. Okay.
So the second thing
Yeah.
is now it's time for you is to build a brand. You require specifically to build a brand so that the value is communicated to your customer. That is your next step.
Yeah, building a brand is already it
Which
is known
means,
to the customer. Okay, they are like yeah, it's
so then
mean like
what's your
the
problem?
customers no, they are the people. No. What I'm looking is there any technology solution where like the car, suppose they want to verify. Say I'm sitting in California. I want to like the so and so person is. If they want to verify this particular produce is coming from so and so, is there any like a back tag? No,
Yes, there is,
reverse
Clear
engineer,
tag.
reverse like a tagging
there
or
is a tagging that is
okay,
possible,
yeah,
but that's mostly into the
okay,
packaging material, not into the banana, but basically it can be a sticker or something like that, which can go on a place which is not edible, but maybe on the stem of the banana or something, you can put a sticker, or in the packaging, when you wrap it, you have a particular wrapping, and on that you can definitely put a tag, and then that can scan, because today we have a lot. In fact, you can go talk to some of these IT based incubators that are doing a lot of technology transfers on this. And I think Triple IT has got it,
okay.
because I know that they have these tagging, they're working on quite a bit on that. I think this is whom you should contact, is talk to a couple of these tech guys who would probably look at, tagging them. And there are today a lot of measures. Today we have an app that can scan a watermelon and tell what color the watermelon is. So if you can do such thing, there are a lot of sensors, and in yours you have to use you can't use the NSG tag. So definitely there are methods by which you can have this, barcode types, which will actually dwell and give the data on their phone as to where it has actually come from. Because today we can drill into to see, if I give charity, who the money goes, what they are doing, and I get a photo of that person to whom I've given charity. So it is technically possible. And and what technology you need to use is something that you need to talk to tech people. So my advice is, you please talk to write to any of these I know for sure Triple IT can definitely do this. Triple IT Hyderabad, please write to them, go to their website, write to them. I'm so sure they'll help you. CI incubator.
Yeah, we have another question, ma'am. I want to know more about RKV Raftar scheme. Currently, I'm in an ideation stage. So how I should prepare my pitch for it?
So Raftar gives 5 lakhs grant for ideation companies, ideation things. You need to prepare and work on your idea, work on the 3 C's that I talked to you about. What are the current things that are happening, and how is your idea better than the existing, and who is your idea, how big is your problem and the market for it, and how are you planning, what is your competencies to run it. So based on these 3 things, if you can prepare your slide and then apply for Raftar, please go to, if you type Raftar RKGY scheme, under that Krishi's thing. So you just look at and type manage, you'll get it. Manage is the one who's purveying this across India.
Yeah, they have another centers also. It's like regional centers. Every regional center is incubation center. They are requesting for applications all through the year. Every incubation center has its own deadlines. So you can search RKVY Raftar over the website or on the Google, and then you can apply for that. But yeah,
Rashtriya Krishi
Vikas Yojana.
Yojana.
Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana.
Yeah, under that only it comes.
Yeah. There's another question, ma'am. I want to start ultra high density apple orchard in 50 acres. I'm looking for investor or also profit sharing 60 and 40%. How can I start? Yeah, that depends. In fact, Agrigar is now taking such kind of farm production and management services in Telangana and AP. But you are, I'm not sure from which area you are. I think I've already responded. Maybe when we are ready to take up such services in other states, we will let you know. Shruti, are there any other questions? There are 2 attendees who's raising. I will allow Lakshmana sir to talk now. Lakshman Rao garu, please post your question to ma'am.
Sorry, earlier to the person who was asking me about that tag and the banana tags, sir, you can write to me through Agrigar, and I can link you to IIIT. I am a mentor there, so we can link you for any inquiries on this. I can give you the contact.
That would be helpful, ma'am.
Sure.
If any unanswered questions are there, please write to info@agrigar.com. We will connect to ma'am, or we will get the response from ma'am and post to you back. And also, if you need any further connective or networking linkages, we can try to help within our scope. Lakshman Ragaru, you can ask your question now.
What was the name of that person who asked me about the banana part? May I know?
Mallikarjuna.
Mallikarjuna. So basically, he's looking at authentication. Okay.
Yeah.
Please write to them and forward it to me, Shruti.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Lakshman Rao garu, we are unmuting you, and again you're muting yourself. Please unmute. Okay, we'll get back to you again. Anupriya wants to ask another question, ma'am. Anupriya ji, you can ask. Anupriya?
No, ma'am, I don't have any question.
Okay, maybe.
Thank you so much.
It's all right. Thank you. There is no name linked to Realme C2. If you want to ask question, you can.
I think that's done. I think nobody has any more questions. If they have, let them mail me.
Okay. Lakshman Ragaru, this is the last time we are trying to unmute you.
There is no question, madam. No problem.
Okay.
I am.
Yeah. Your hand
No
seems
problem.
to be raised. That's the reason I'm trying to unmute.
No problem. No problem. You continue.
Yeah. Once your request for the next sessions also, once your question is answered, please lower your hand also. And yeah,
Okay.
we have sent, this is a common announcement from Aggregator site. We have sent the registration links in the chat box. There are quite a number of sessions coming up. This is the 3rd out of 10 sessions which we have planned with other experts. Like Radhika ma'am, we have other experts coming up. The sessions are scheduled in the form of FPOs. If anyone is interested to know about FPOs and how they are marketing and everything, we have another session on agri-rural marketing. We have another session on the organic value chain and the certification processes, how you go with the traceability. And we also have sessions on MSME schemes. Please register to the link given. Shruti, can you repost the link? You can register. Once you have registered for this event, I think we are ensuring that all the events webinar links are sent to your emails. If you are registered even to your previous sessions, need not register again because you are attending now. You will be getting the sessions webinar links again. But if you want to send this webinar info to others, please send this webinar link, registration link, so that we can reach out to more people. And we request you, if any unanswered questions are there, please write back to us at info@aggregator.com, and we will try our best to respond to you back on this. And on behalf of Aggregator, I also would like to announce here in another 4 to 6 months, we are planning to have a mini processing unit wherein we want to take up this rural entrepreneurship in a scalable mode. We want to take up the skill development trainings and also EDP trainings related to agri and sector. Since you are already registered with us in one form, either through these webinars or through emails, we will keep you posted on the updates so that whenever there is a possibility, you can just come and visit, learn, and also enhance your knowledge.
So thank you guys, and all the very best to all of you. I'm signing off.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. We take
All
this
the best.
again to thank you once again. And yes, your support is always helpful for us. As you're one of our mentor, we will be connecting to you in future very soon. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
If you are linked to us with the WhatsApp group, please stay tuned for future updates. All through these webinars, until these webinars are ended, will be ending on October 11th. Till then, we will be posting only on the webinar related links, later to which we will be posting on the, if you stay tuned with us with Aggregator Services, we will be posting relative information whenever there is any update. Thank you once again to all the participants who have stayed with us and who helped us to gain the knowledge. Even with your questions, we take it as an opportunity to learn ourselves and also to expand our knowledge. Thank you once again. We would like to end this session now. Please write back to us at info@aggregator.com or over the WhatsApp group. Thank you. Please fill in the feedback form so that we can try to improve more in this webinar hosting. And if you have any issues, please write back to us. Thank you.